okay? And I want a better sort of softer shadow or gradation here. So this object's sitting on top of everything right now, right? So in Illustrator, when you create a shadow, okay, I can create a shadow from black to black, right? So this is just black to black. But instead what I'm going to do, and this is the proper way to kind of work with gradients, if you're going to have it like overlay on top of something, what you want to do is you want to go from the same color to the same color, and then in that other color, reduce the opacity. Okay? So I'm going to click on the other color and just reduce the opacity. So now it's evenly being placed over this. And the reason that's important is because it's over this other color that I'm going to have there. So then that way, that gradient is nice and even over my next object that's below. So let's say in this event, you know, if this was blue, okay, that gradient is still over this blue. Okay, so let's say if this is green, that gradient is still over this green, and it's not pulling up all of these muddy values. Because it's basically going from black to black, but 100% black opacity to 0% black opacity. Okay, so that kind of takes me into my next point, color. This is this guy that I'm working on. I'm actually going to go to my outlines. Select same stroke color. Darken my outlines a little bit. Okay. So let's say I kind of go from this object. Let me apply that little. So black to black. And I just reduce the opacity. Okay, so nice even shadow. I know it's not the most perfect shadow, but for demo purposes, it's fine. Okay, so I have that shadow there. Oh, let me just fix that. And it's fine. Okay. So document setup. So used to going this way, I can't, you know.
Yeah.
All right, drag that guy over. So now we have this over here. So in this view, what we're going to do is we're going to apply color to our objects. So let's say if I have several of them. Okay, so I have 1, 2, 3. There's a reason that we're working in grayscale. And the reason is, okay, is that we're going to apply this color to all of our objects. Normally if you work with just straight color, you have to like have the dark blue go to the light blue, and then like the light blue to like the light green to the dark green, and you can spend like hours just coloring something, and they're like, oh shit, I need it in pink. You know, damn, I gotta like make all my pinks. In this case, what you do is you're gonna use the colors. You can use that Command F to your advantage, and I'm sorry, you're gonna use the grayscale that we have. We're gonna use that Command F. We're gonna copy over a duplicate of our shapes. So I have that object, Command C, Command F. So I have another object directly on top of it. Let's give it a colored value. So here we go, I have this green, okay? And with this green, I'm gonna go to the transparency palette. I'm gonna adjust how the color's transitioning down to that overlay. So then that way it picks up that gradation or those values. So I'm gonna go to Window, Transparency, so window, transparency, where is it? Window, transparency, here it is. Okay, I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this a little bit better. Oops. Sorry about that. Okay, so what I'm going to do is if I apply an overlay, the overlay will pick up on those tonalities and appropriate that color into that space. Okay, so that's one way. Okay, that's one way to kind of get the colors. So I can go here, and if I adjust, you know, that color that I'm working with, you know, it still keeps that gradation value that's sitting behind it. So if I look behind it, there's that gradation. This is my color fill. That is essentially altering that. We can play with this. I can modify the opacity of it. Okay, and so that's one way. Another way is to work with a multiply, okay, in a lower opacity of the multiply. So that's going to give you a different transition for your color. So it's all in terms of how you want it to appear. So let's say if I come over here, once again I select that fill, I copy, Command F it so it's pasted directly on top. And I choose a different color to apply. So let's say I overlay it. Okay, and let's just choose a different color value. So I got that nice little pink color that we talked about. Or, once again, if you go to multiply, oops, not color blur, multiply, and have it appear at a lower value, lower opacity. Okay, so same thing, copy F. So if I have that as an overlay, let's see, and I can even reduce the opacity of that to see how it applies in transition. Any questions on that? So let's say if you actually had a number of different items on here that had that kind of representation. So let's say this had the green, and then over here, maybe you had a bit of the green as well.
What are it's hard to see, you're just clicking away. What are the shortcuts that you're using?
For what I just did? Oh, I just command copied and pasted. So what I did was to bring up that color. I selected the object, command C, command F, put a 1 on top of it. Press I to pull up the eyedropper tool. I select that color, so I apply that as an overlay and kind of reduce that down. So what I'm going to show next is, same thing. If I need to change all of these colors together, I just select one of them, select, same, fill color, so it selects all three, and then I can uniformly just go ahead, I can make that now blue. Or if I want, I can go ahead and make that, pink. Or if I want, I can go ahead and make that yellow. Any questions?